What's up guys, and welcome to another Rocket League analysis video. So this video is for Reychelle, and I have it muted because she has her own music in the background, so there won't be any noise of the car in this game. But anyhow, let's get going. I like the name, by the way, Trash. It's a good name. The name, I think we could all of us could have that name. So yeah, I think definitely oh my god, there was a lag, it makes it so difficult. So you go this boost here, and then you jump for this ball, but didn't really like do anything with it. I don't think you have to rush as much just because the enemy's near the ball. I feel like the reason you rushed is because he was down here near the ball, but he wasn't actually in a position where he could have done anything positive with it. So staying on the wall wasn't a bad idea at all. It's not like an unsafe position or anything like that. So definitely don't be afraid to like take your time there. Your teammate missed that pass, but it probably would have gotten blocked anyhow. So this was a really unfortunate lack of boost grab because like oh my god, ads. No one cares about League of Legends. Wait, what? Oh, wait a second. I was wondering why there was an ad. Okay, so I must press that. So that was a really unfortunate, like, non-boost grab, because you definitely should have had that boost. I don't know why I didn't give it to you. So this is a really ambitious aerial attempt, ceiling shot attempt, because it was even if it had to come outwards, it wouldn't have come out very high because it just wasn't going very fast. That was a good shot attempt. So cutting that off wasn't a bad idea at all. I think your teammate could have shot there, and so could you. The first tip I should give was probably just take your time with aerials, stay a little bit more grounded, and like get closer to the ball before taking the aerial, so that you have more time to actually like calculate it in your head and calibrate for the aerial itself. So you have a solo play here. For some reason your teammate decided to take the ball anyway, so I don't really know why he decided to do that. Also, I apologize if my voice is a little bit off. But yeah, teammate definitely shouldn't have taken this. Like, you had control there, so there was no reason to take it. And if you wanted to go further away to like hook shot it in, then you would have, like, you didn't have that choice because he was sitting right next to it. But this little section of play here after the fact, you definitely could have continued shadowing there once you saw that he was pushing up. Don't be afraid to just shadow and trust yourself, trust your instincts. Give the enemy a little bit more space. Also, this tiny bit of like shaking of the camera, you can usually fix that just by wiggling your right analog stick or like pressing on it or whatever. It's usually just to do with the analog stick registering, even though it's not actually doing anything. I get it sometimes really bad. So that was a bad touch there by you, but again, like, you could have taken your time with that aerial just a little bit longer once you noticed that the enemy team wasn't actually jumping for it. Also, your teammate cuts way too much. The teammate's cut like 3 times. It's crazy. So this is another situation where your teammate made the mistake there and ended up just passing it to them. You were in a good position right here. So you moved into like a shadowing position, and this bit here is good, but then you turned like through the center of the field and went to the far side, which ended up taking you further away from the play. And moving that way isn't always a bad idea, except that except because the reason you usually move that way is to dodge demos and stuff like that, so you have more space to go at the ball. There wasn't actually a demo coming though, unfortunately, so moving that way wasn't really necessary. So it ended up taking you further away from the play than towards the play. This is another situation where your teammate should have gone for this. Like, there was no reason to go for it, but I'm analyzing him more than I'm analyzing you at this point. But yeah, so here you're on the wall, and again you took a quite rushed aerial. So definitely don't be afraid to like stay on the ground a little bit more, stay a little bit more grounded. They definitely should have shot that. So that was a good pass. That was a good pass from you. Teammates, it was too far back, which is okay. They're not always going to be there for every pass. That was a good job by you. That was a good goal. So it seems with your kickoffs that you try to like pay attention to the enemy and how the enemy is coming at the ball. That's a good way to go about it. However, you should implement that to other areas of your gameplay as well. Like, don't be afraid to like take a quick glance at where the enemy is and see if they've jumped or not. If they haven't, then don't be afraid to take your time. Oh, big dunk. Big dunk. You technically cut your teammate off here, but it was in a safe position because he was like shadowing. And he was a fair distance from the ball. If he had been a lot close to the ball, then it would have been a mistake to have pushed up that close. Oh, what a fluke. So that wasn't bad by you, but again, you cut your teammate off a little bit. However, your teammate's been really slow this game. So like it's sometimes it's difficult to know if they're gonna do anything. But he had a very like straight touch. So definitely leaving the ball would have been perfectly viable there. And just letting him go for it. In this situation where the ball's coming off the ball, you're in like an unfavorable position. Don't be afraid to like park the brake there and to park your car against the wall and hit it as it bounces off the wall. Like hit the ball with the tail of your car as it bounces off the wall, and make that touch unpredictable, because it means like they are less likely to have an opportunity to make something of the play. So that was good. It was good that you read that you weren't going to beat that guy to the ball and you didn't hard commit to it. That was a really good dunk as well, and a little bump. Your teammate took his time pushing up though, so. That was a good bump and good possession, and basically like that was a really good like passage of play there. It was slow, but that's okay, because if you're taking people out of the play, it doesn't matter if it's fast or slow, because it's still working out in your favor. That was a good cutoff. So it seems like for the most part, because your gameplay isn't focused on recoveries and just straight up speed, that the touches you're making are a lot more important, and it means that when they fail a little bit harder as well. So it's nice shot. It was good that you put that on target. It was bad that they didn't save it, but it was behind them, so. Oh, neither one went for kickoff. Oh, that was close. That was good, but you did have a little bit more time than I think you realized here. Although yes, both the enemies were there, you could have taken a little bit extra longer to get a harsher angle on the ball that would have made the ball go slower, but still would have been a shot on net. So in this position, this is a habit that I feel even grand champs have sometimes, is jumping. This little hop right here, where you jump to the ball. even though you weren't going to get to it ever. You definitely want to be careful not to jump for the ball. That was a good play. Well done. There's a couple bits that are definitely worthwhile watching at the start of this game. I feel like the end of the game, the last half of the game was a lot better than the first half of the game. Which is funny because the first like minute and a half of the game actually had a bot. So maybe that the fact that there was a bot mean that you guys weren't trying as hard. Yeah, just didn't want to sweat too hard. But definitely the piece of advice that I would give would be, don't be afraid to give the enemy more possession and trust your defensive capabilities, instead of moving too far away from the net and stuff. Also, when in doubt and you're in the net, or near the net, and you're defending in general, and you're a little bit concerned about your defensive capabilities, don't be afraid to go all the way into the net and just chuck a U-turn in the net, because it means that the ball's eventually going to come to you no matter what. So you're always in a safe position technically. And the other thing would be your aerials. Don't be afraid to take your time just a little bit more with your aerials and not jump for them immediately, because you don't really have to. There's a lot of times where you actually have a lot more space than you realize, and watching these replays will help you see that now that you can see the whole field. Now, you're still in a game. You generally have like a little bit of tunnel vision, like everyone does. Has a little bit of tunnel vision, and it's a lot more difficult to see all these things happening in real time. But they are all happening, like it is still on your screen. We're still seeing from your player perspective. So always take advantage of all that you can see and all that the field has to offer you in terms of information. So you see here, like that position there, you could have rotated into the net if you wanted to. Just use a little bit of boost, chuck a U-turn in the net, and then you're facing outwards, facing the ball, facing the enemy. So worst case scenario is you can still see everything. You're always in position. But for the most part, that's really it. Like you don't have a playstyle that lends itself to having too many mistakes happen, because it's just a little bit more calculated, a little bit more focused on making sure that the things that you do make sense. There is another thing as well, like, you are going to make a lot of mistakes. Everyone makes a lot of mistakes all the time. Focusing on recoveries and being able to recover from them, but especially before the mistake happens, realizing, oh shit, I've jumped for a ball that I can't get to or whatnot, is a really vital and important strategy and skill to have. Skill is the word I was looking for. It's a really important skill to have. So don't be afraid to practice recoveries and going a little bit faster and using your flips a little bit more and just stuff like that. You don't have to speed your gameplay up too much. If this is your gameplay, then it's going to be your gameplay, and you'll naturally add extra speed to it as you add extra confidence to it. So don't be too concerned about adding speed to it too much. Just add that extra sense of mindfulness to the next steps further above, like what you're doing at that current point in time, the next few seconds after that, to see what the play can consist of after you make a decision, so that it can help your decision making in the long run. But that's really it. There isn't too much to really go off here. There's nothing too major, nothing too bad. But thank you for watching. I apologize for my really garbage voice right now. It's so annoying. I'm so annoyed by my voice. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helped. And yeah, have a wonderful time. Young out.